Hi, it's Mrs. Mallet, and today we're going to talk about multiplying binomials and multiplying perfect squares, or the sum and difference of two squares is how you'll see it also. Now, when it comes to multiplying binomials, I have these written out like this. You don't have to use this method, so this is just an added bonus to multiplying two polynomials together. So this is just a special way. So you can always go back to FOIL. So if you want to, you can expand this out by saying x plus 2 times x plus 2 and foiling that out if you want to. This is just another way. So let me show you how to do this way. What you're going to do is you're going to take the first term and square it. So I'm going to start with my x term here, and you're going to square that. Then you're going to multiply everything together. So I'm going to write that up here. You're going to multiply everything together. And what I mean everything, I mean the exponent, and then what's on the inside the parentheses, so the 2 and the x. Multiply it all together. Okay, and then you're going to take your last term, so then take last term, and you're going to square that as well. Okay, so put my pluses in between here, so then 2 squared. So now let's actually simplify this further. So I took my first term and I squared it, so I have x squared. Now multiply all that together. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times x is 4x. Then take my last term, which is 2, and square that. So 2 squared is 4. So this is my final answer, x squared plus 4x plus 4. Let's try it again. What if you have a negative sign? It works the exact same way, so let's do that one. Okay, so you take the first term and you square it. So I have x squared. Then you multiply everything together. The 2 times the negative 4 times the x, okay? So you multiply everything together. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, and negative 8 times x is negative 8x. And then you take the last term of negative 4, and you square that. So negative 4 squared is a positive 16. So your answer for that would be x squared minus 8x plus 16. So I bet you're wondering, well, what do you do when you have numbers? Well, you do it the exact same way. Okay, you take the first term, and you square it. So you're going to take 2x, and you're going to square that. So that'll be 4x squared. Then you multiply everything together. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times 2x is positive 20x. Then you take the last term, the 5, and you square that. So 5 squared is 25. Remember, it's 5 times 5. Okay? So your final answer would be 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. So that's how you multiply a binomial. So now let's talk about multiplying perfect squares. Or some books refer to it as multiplying the sum and difference of two squares. It's the exact same thing. So you can also FOIL this. This is perfectly fine too, but let me show you a shortcut. The shortcut of this is you're going to multiply your first terms together. So x times x is x squared, and multiply your last terms together. So 4 times negative 4 is a negative 16. That's all there is to it. What happens is when you actually FOIL this out, your outside and inside terms we're going to cancel out completely. And how do you know you're multiplying perfect squares? Because if you look at them, you see the exact same thing in the parentheses. The only thing differencing them is one's a plus and one's a negative. That's how you know you're working with perfect squares. So notice here I have the exact same thing in my parentheses. One's just a positive and one's just a negative. So that's how you know. That's your key to look at. So now let's do the second example here. Multiply your first terms together. So 4x times 4x is 16x squared. And then multiply your last terms together. So 3 times 3 is the negative 9. Okay, let's do this last one. So multiply your first terms together. So y times y is y squared. And then multiply your last terms together. 7 times 7 is negative 49. So we just multiplied binomials and multiplied perfect squares.